As we do all meetings, we will stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and the Texas flag. I'll ask Commissioner Benavides to lead us in the pledges to both at the appropriate time. Please rise. Thank you. Public comments? When we get there. We're going to take some items out of order. Are there any items on the consent any member of the court wish to take out separately to discuss?
Judge,
Yes.
can we table item A? And for discussion, pull out item double M.
Double M?
Yes.
Double M? Okay. Okay. Anything else? Do you know which items Commissioner Sanchez wants to take out?
I'm not sure. He didn't say, but he was about 5 minutes away.
Well, let's go ahead and approve them, and if you want to bring them back, we can bring them back.
Also for discussion, item E.
Item E. Okay?
And just for the record, Judge, item N should say reserve constable, not constable.
Reserve, okay. Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the consent items, knowing that when Commissioner Sanchez comes by, we can go back and pull any ones he'd like to discuss?
Judge, I'm sorry. I want to pull out R.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve items under consent with the exception of item A to be tabled, E to discuss separately, the correction to item N, R to discuss separately, and double M for discussion? Moved by Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Budget amendments, line item transfers, and/or salary schedules. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back. I'm sorry, Marta. Let's go back to the consent, the ones that we're going to pull out. Item E, consideration approval to purchase 2 trucks under the Texas Facilities Commission. Who wanted to pull that one? Don't you, Marta?
Yes, I wanted that pulled, and we are verifying this morning with our financing, for the financing agreement that they will finance the purchase of used vehicles. So if the, no, they have
So you
not
want
yet.
this one tabled?
If the court wants to approve it, subject to getting that cleared up,
Well, I want to just
It's up
table
to
it.
the court.
Can we bring it back? Or is there a time element?
I don't know about Marcelino. I haven't discussed it with them. I
Marcelino?
just saw that last night.
Can we go ahead and I'll make a motion to approve,
Subject to?
subject to?
Okay.
Okay.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatz. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Carries. R, consideration author to approve the renewal of workers' comp insurance. You want
And
to do
then
it?
we can discuss it when the rest of the court is.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Perfect. Okay, on double M, consideration and recommendation by Evaluation Committee, Infirmary Medical Services. Who pulled that one? Pete?
Judge, Commissioners, Mike Leonard's here to represent the sheriff, and he'd like to make some comments relative to the recommendation, and they'd like to share with the court where they'd like to go with this RFP.
Okay. Mike?
Judge, Commissioners, good morning. On the consideration and recommendation by Evaluation Committee for the Infirmary RFP services, the sheriff had asked if it would be okay to go ahead and negotiate with the vendors, because he believes that there's more to this than just what the Evaluation Committee has seen on the surface. as far as pricing goes.
Who sat on the committee representing the sheriff's office?
I believe it was Dean Garza, Dr. Almeida, Pete? Was it you, Pete? David?
David Garcia?
Martha? And Javier.
Okay, so there was somebody from the sheriff's office representing, and they recommended somebody. Now, the sheriff wants to go back and negotiate with that vendor?
With the two best vendors. Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
The committee, as you'll see in your handout, recommended not to take any action, not to award, but to put an end to the process. The sheriff feels that negotiating, since that hasn't taken place yet, since the court hasn't approved the next step, which is to negotiate, he'd like to now move to the next step rather than close the process entirely.
So then we just need to not award.
Exactly, not award, but the sheriff would like the court's approval to negotiate with the
Well,
firm.
but that's not on the agenda, though.
No, it's not. But
I mean, the only thing we could do today would
Just
be not
table it.
award the RFP, right?
Okay, let's do that. I mean, is there a sense of urgency in terms of timing?
No,
Why don't
sir.
why don't we do that? Let me ask that we table this item and then place an item at the next meeting?
Should it be a table or a non-award?
Well, to table it, you're not
As
awarding
long as we
it.
don't bring closure to it, because we do need to come back and negotiate if that's the court's desire.
Well, I think if we table it, there's no action. We bring it back with the authority to allow the sheriff's office or somebody, the sheriff's office, to negotiate with the two vendors,
He'd like to negotiate with all three.
or with all three.
Well, we can table it and they can do what they need to do.
Move to
Put it
table.
back on?
Second.
Put it back, and I want to have him here to explain to us why why they want to do that. Let me ask you, just move in a second, why did they go through a process to evaluate? Now we're going to go back and negotiate with all three. How many bids were submitted?
3 proposals were received.
Okay, so they're all equal?
There's criteria, pricing, I mean, until we negotiate, we shouldn't really discuss too much on the pricing in court.
No, I understand that, no, but I'm
Other than-
asking then why did we just not go through that to begin with?
You know, Judge, I believe that one of the issues in there was the fact that we don't have electronic filing or medical records at all, and all three of these companies bring that to the table. Unfortunately, what they did say is that in order to get the pricing right, they would, in lieu of the medical records, they would want to save in the staffing area, and they said they could do that. All of them said that they would have to reduce the staff numbers, and that made sense because they're going to automate everything. So that eliminates the manual filing of
So of the
medical records.
three vendors, they were all equally matched. Okay, so now it's going to question to negotiate prices with them. Pete? Flock?
I think that's why the committee made the recommendation they did, because
Okay.
all 3 proposals were over budget.
Oh, we're over budget?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's do this. Let me, we had a motion and a second to table, bring it back so the court can authorize the negotiations with a vendor. Okay? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Commissioner Sanchez, we've already approved the consent, but we go back and pull out the ones that you'd like to discuss, but they've already been approved. Yeah.
Okay, item D,
Okay, we'll just go one by one because we've already approved them. So item D, consideration possible approval of extending agreement for insurance consulting services.
I was looking at that and.
Who's item D? Who's going to address item D? Item D, consideration possible approval extending the agreement for insurance consulting services with RWL Group.
Yes, Commissioner.
Is this RWL Group, are they like the agent or what? I'm not understanding what
They're-
exactly they do.
They're consultants that assist us in evaluating the proposals as they come in for all of the county insurance. And they have helped us and helped in providing and getting the RFP together. They help us in evaluating them, and they help our department in making sure that the policies that we do get from the agencies are in compliance with the way that they put in the bid.
Okay, and the reason I guess I looked at it was, I thought about our recent TAC litigation that we had with TAC and how, you know, we had the issue with them. And I also looked at the cost, and I was wondering, are these services really necessary? Because in looking at the backup, it shows that we're paying them, I think, like $12,500.
Yes, it's $2,000 a month.
And if there's any additional visits, they charge us $22.50 per day.
That's correct.
And I don't know, I just was wondering, is this something that's really necessary, or could we save these $12,000 by having our people in-house do this?
RWL is a very, and again, it deals with insurance.
Who on our staff is qualified to do that?
That's where I was going. In our office and countywide, I do not know that we have anybody qualified that is insurance knowledgeable on property values, on the property insurance, and what the policies need to read to be in compliance to make sure that all of the county properties are fully insured to, you know, within our budget that we do have. They provide an invaluable service to our department. We do not have anybody fully equipped that will be able to take an insurance policy and say, you know, this is what you bid on and it is correct, and, you know, the county is fully insured.
I think as big as we are, excuse me, Commissioner, as big as we are, we probably should have somebody in-house that knows a little bit about insurance. Most big districts and most big entities have people that do this. They
Yes,
cover
so
all their-
presently we
they
do not.
Basically cover all their insurance, it's all done in-house. That way, this commission has an idea when things are being evaluated for renewal. It's not somebody coming up here giving a 10-minute presentation and slam, bam, and we're done. That's not really in my opinion, that's not a good way to do things.
Right, and presently we do not have anybody on board.
Would our legal department be able to give us, I mean, you know, the advice as to what we are covered for and what we're not?
Well, with some study, I think we could. We have not been in that business in the past, and when you speak to insurance coverage, you are talking about a fairly sophisticated and specialized field here. I can tell you personally, I have never engaged in review of coverage issues, certainly not for a living. I have addressed them from time to time on a very limited basis. It's something I would be willing to get into if you all want to try that and, you know, bone up on it and be prepared, you know, to answer questions on our insurances. But I can tell you right now, we're not set up to and have not historically done that.
And the only reason I ask is annually, I think there's a lot of renewals of existing coverages. There's not too much change, and we're spending $12,500 that maybe we could save. The other thing is, if you look at their errors and omissions policy, they're only covered at $250,000. If they somehow mess up, our liability could probably be a lot greater than that.
Well, their liability would be a lot greater than that if they're
Our damages, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you know, W makes the point that, you know, from a liability aspect, you know, but I don't think that the liability coverage is not the issue. If you're talking about property damage, you're talking about potentially damages in the millions, you know, I mean, we just went through the hurricane litigation, you know, in terms of dealing with TAC to get us to pay, or get them to pay us a proper a proper claim amount. And so, yeah, I agree with you there, Commissioner, that $250,000 worth of errors and omissions coverage is probably not sufficient. We probably ought to have more coverage than that. But that may be, you know, that may be that, you know, they're looking at everything except their own liability to us, and in that regard, I think we do need to take a look at that policy.
Okay. Well, I would move to table this item then so we could take a look at it.
What is it that we're going to do, though? What are we going to take a look at? To see if legal can do it?
Well, maybe the possibility of legal being able to take care
When
of
does
this.
this expire? When do they come on board?
They would come on board January We have a current contract, and this would be the third year that we renew this policy, which is, the RFP allows up to a third-year renewal. So this is.
Can I ask this question? Are there contracts coming up for renewal over the next, in a very, over the next short time frame, or what?
I think they come up for renewal within 45 days. I believe the agreement that we have right now is expired. It expired in November, and it's up for renewal again.
The
So-
agreement with this consulting group?
Yes, with this consultant.
Well, Commissioner, I think if we had 45 days, to get into these policies, whatever they are, I can tell you that I believe I'm accurate. Let me ask Dilbia, but I don't think we have in our office copies of all insurance policies that are presently in force or up for renewal. I could be wrong about it. Am I right? We have not historically done that. We've relied on department heads to tell us, as I understand it, what they need. And for, I think Tom, I know Tom is involved in, some of the insurance coverage issues that come along. But I don't think he holds himself out to be an expert in coverage and that sort of thing. And that's probably the reason why we have this consulting agency at this point. But if we have 45 days, to get into these policies and compare them to the proposals, I think we could probably do that for you.
Okay, so I mean, for now, I would move to table that item then and not approve it, so we can take a look at it.
I'll second that if that's a motion.
Okay, moved by,
I just want to make one comment in regards to the scope and service that this group provides, which is the design and evaluation of RFPs for the insurance policies. And, it would seem to me that would be something that would take into consideration procurement processes, take into consideration all of the existing statutes that are out there in regards to procuring these types of insurances, and at the same time protecting us, the client. And I think that we need to tread lightly on trying to make experts out of our legal department in procurement, in writing RFPs, and in evaluating RFPs, and just caution in the wind.
I know that our office, we have one staff person, and from our perspective, we will receive an insurance policy, and we'll look at it, and we'll see the terms on it, and if the RFP, if it comes into compliance with what they bid on, then we will process it for payment. We do not have a single experienced person on our staff, and that is not our level of expertise to be able to evaluate our policies for compliance and to see how much the buildings are really insured for. And we rely on them very, very heavily. That is not a service, what they are providing is not a service that our office can provide to Cameron County.
Let me add to that. Commissioner Garza is right about the sophistication that you have to have in order to be able to know at the end of reading an insurance policy what the heck it is that it covers. Because historically, and I've represented insurance companies for many years, never on a coverage basis, but they were in the business of premium gathering and claims denial. That's how they make their living. And the endorsements that you may see, I'm not sure what endorsements we run into on our property coverage and whatnot, but they can be quite a trip from the first page to the end of that insurance policy, because endorsements basically change the wording in that policy, and you can get whipsawed back and forth in a policy several times before you can ever, catch it and hold it still long enough to know what it is that policy is actually saying. And if these people are in the business of knowing how it is that insurance policies work and are put together and sold and the coverage aspects of it, it would seem to me that, a relatively modest fee considering the overall assets of the county in terms of property coverage may be very well spent. Now, I don't know that that's true. And like I say, I would be willing, to get knee-deep in that to see if we can do it. But I want you to know what you're getting if you decide to do that, because we have historically not been coverage experts at the Cameron County Civil Division. We
Well,
do
we're
review
asking-
contracts.
We're asking our civil division to go outside of their bailiwick, and in 45 days, I just don't believe they're going to be insurance experts and be able to provide the information I think we're gleaning. $12,500 is a lot of money, but in the overall scheme of things, it's worth it. If we want to go towards that when their 3-year contract expires, we can start working that process now and maybe have our civil division work hand in hand with them. But in the interim, I don't think it'd be wise to not renew.
Tabling the item would not terminate it.
Yes, it
because-
does, because.
No, the term on their contract is that until we give a termination notice, it automatically
Renews?
renews. Right.
Well, then it's already renewed.
Well, but it renews, and if either party gives a 10-day notice, then you can terminate it, okay? So if we table it, we could still use their services, from what I can understand, right?
I know that Civil looked at the contract, and I believe they also stated that it was already expired.
Because the 10 days is already expired from their termination date. Wasn't it November 30th?
Dobie's looking at it.
November
So-
30th, 2011.
Right.
So we haven't paid them December, right?
I don't know.
No,
Okay. Have they done any work in December?
not that I know of. They start doing their work when they are evaluating, when our renewals come up, and at that point, they start reviewing the policies.
And I'm not saying let's get rid of them. I'm just looking at, well, there's $12,000 here that maybe we can save in the budget if we look at this a little closer. The other thing is, recently I was in the 404th courtroom, and there was litigation where you had a building under construction, and there's two different insurance coverages that you have. You have the during construction, and then you have when you occupy. And there had been a gap in the coverages. And so they were suing the general contractor for not informing them that the gap was going to exist. And so I was wondering if that's what these people do, and we do have a gap in coverage and we have a loss, is that errors and omissions of $250,000 going to cover any loss we sustain? And it may not. And that's why I was looking at it, and I said, you know what, even if we continue with them, we may need them to up their coverage.
I couldn't, I'm not the person to be able to answer that question. That's probably a legal question.
I think upping the E&O coverage would be prudent in all reasonable probability, given the size of the county assets that are being insured and the potential risk involved. And we are capable of doing that, Commissioner, I can tell you. But when it comes to knowing in a very sophisticated, high-level way what the insurance needs for all the property in the county are, and what kind of policy we need, and make sure there's not some, fooling around on the part of the insurance company to, give us with one hand and take away with the other, it may very well be that these people earn their pay.
And I'm not saying they don't, I'm just, again, if we don't look at budget throughout the year and we wait till August, then we're in trouble again.
Well, but this has already been budgeted, hasn't it?
Yes.
So we could elect to not do it next fiscal year, and it would have the same impact that you're talking about, because this item's already been budgeted.
Right, but at the end of the year, when we don't have enough travel money or money for this or that,
So you get it
and
from
we're-
surplus.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, we need to look to save wherever we can, and that's what I wanted to look at in this. But if you want to just,
I had a motion to table in a second.
My concern
What is your recommendation,
my cons-
Martha? I mean, what is it that you're recommending?
My recommendation is that we renew it. We have renewals that are going to be coming up, and we can look at the policy and say, yes, it's the same as last year's, or, you know, maybe we should, based on our historical trend, maybe we should increase it. We don't have staff on board to do that, and that's not our level of expertise.
And legal is not
I do
equipped
not
either to
think
do that. I mean,
they-
that's just,
I think that is a new field.
you know, I said this at the last meeting, you know, when it comes to insurance, it's a very specialized industry, and none of us, I don't, and I deal with it probably as often as you do, is something that I'm not comfortable with. It is complicated, and unless you have the time to sit there in the background, you're going to fail. So I don't think it's a good idea to not do this at this point, coupled with, it's your recommendation that we do, that we enter this agreement. We can look at it next budget. We don't want to do it, we don't do it. That's when you save the money, not so much now.
It's my recommendation that we renew it.
And let me ask you this, Martha, as consulting services, do they go and look at all of our property? Do they evaluate every single property we have and tell us whether we have correct insurance or not, or to what extent?
I'd have to get somebody here from my office, Mr. Gazdowski, that deals with them. If the court wants to give me a
Because
few minutes, I can get 'em.
okay, because my understanding was a few years ago, we had buildings at the county that weren't insured. Right before Dolly, and luckily we got them insured, but was that something that this company should have been doing? Is it something that they do? I mean, do we have a list of all our buildings, all our equipment, and do they go through the list? And I know you said you can't answer that, but I'm just wondering, this 12,500, what are we getting for it?
We do have a list, and of all of our property, of all of our buildings, of all of our land, so.
The assets.
Yes, so we do have the list. We know which ones are insured.
Well, I mean,
You know,
why
we'll
would
have
we not
somebody
have a
here.
building insured? That's the first I hear of that. Why would we not have a building insured?
No, I didn't say we didn't have.
No,
a
I know,
building.
but that's
Oh,
what
I know.
Commissioner Sanchez said. I've never heard of that, don't know where it came from, and,
Well, I'll do some research into it.
yeah,
That
but
was
you
my
need to have it
understanding.
now. You make a comment, and I'm saying, well, no one in this court or staff, unless you know that we did not have a building insured. Have you ever heard of that? Okay. Well, I
I'll-
think it'd be nice to get that
Maybe-
research and figure it out.
I will.
Maybe that a building was not insured up to the maximum. I know that has occurred.
And
That it's
isn't
been
that what,
underinsured.
wasn't that what these people are there to make
This
sure
was-
it doesn't happen?
The Dolly was back in '08, and this is the third year for the renewal that
So it started
RWL, so
09.
it started
I
after
think that they do the design and evaluation
of the
their
RFPs, and then they evaluate.
Okay.
And they also come on board, and I believe they advise us as to whether, you know, there's some buildings that are underinsured
I guess the
or
question
not.
would be, do they go out and inventory all our assets? And I don't think that's what
That
they're
is
getting
not-
paid to do,
that is
because
not their
that's what,
scope.
that's what your office or staff
Right.
should be doing, is inventorying asset. They don't know every time we buy something or every time we finish a building. So that would be up to internal staff to give them those lists. So they don't go out, necessarily go out and inventory every asset that Cameron County has.
So
I mean, not for $12,500.
their function
Well, Tom's
is,
here if you want to ask him a question.
their function is to evaluate the RFPs then?
That is within the scope of the
Design and
agreement,
evaluate.
The RFPs,
Tom?
okay.
and recommend.
If you want to refer a question to Tom, he's here. Funny how he heard us all the way to the third floor.
What RWL does is that they are working with us to send the renewal notices to the prospective, to the insurance companies that are currently under, they selling insurance to Cameron County. They are evaluating step by step the responses from the insurance companies. They are also evaluating the insurance policies that are submitted to Cameron County, and they are ensuring that what we are getting is in accordance with their proposal.
Okay.
do they advise you and the auditor's office on what the proposals themselves should say going out to the insurance companies up front?
Yes.
In other words,
The answer is
or
yes.
do they,
Yes.
take a look at our situation, our inventory of properties to be insured and say, we need this kind of coverage, we need it in this kind of amount, and then assure that the proposal that's being submitted and going out to the
I mean, we
carriers?
went over, in details, we went over, our property list during the initial, original RFP. And, we do not go into such a details during the renewal process because our, property list doesn't change. But in my opinion, the most important aspect of their service is evaluation of the policies provided to the county. We are talking the total value of the insurances is that we are paying is in neighborhood of $1 million, and the insurance industry is very specific industry, and it's very, it's very easy to overlook something if you are not professional working in the industry on day-to-day basis.
What I would recommend is if we're negotiating or whatever to renew this, maybe ask them or tell them that they need to up their E&O policy from 250 to, I don't know, $1 million, whatever they can do. I'm surprised now that does surprise that it's that low. It should be at least $1 million. So can you do that? And ask them if they can do that, or do you want to do legal to do that? Okay, to up it. That just seems a little low. Well, I had a motion, a second to table it. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, so it stays. So go ahead and just,
I just caution this Commissioner's Court that.
no, it passed. Because remember, we'd already approved it. No, we'd approved it already. We came back and it failed to table, so it moves forward on 3-2.
I just want to caution that I don't want to have gaps, especially in the assets that we have and the numbers for $12,000. It's just not, it's just a small price to pay for a consultant if it's going to allow us to make sure that we're totally insured the way we should be, and we're not going to end up with a situation where there's a gap in a policy that is going to cost us a whole lot more in the future.
Okay, any other items? Before we go to another one, I was asked by legal to table item M regarding the property, the mowing of the property. M.
Oh, triple M.
Yeah. On the recommendation of legal, and this is subject to, guys, on M, this is until you review it, until they provide insurance, or you want to approve it subject to legal, or just? Okay, do I hear a motion to table item M on the recommendation of legal and Javier Mendez? Moved by Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Gatsa. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Carries. Commissioner Sanchez, any other item you want to pull out?
Item N, and it was just a clarification.
That's already been fixed in terms of the reserves?
Reserve.
That's been fixed, okay? Anything else?
On all the beach vending permits,
Okay, which ones are those specifically?
double B, double C, double D, double E, double F, double G, double H.
Okay, these are all the elote stuff. Javier, that's yours. And Ruby elotes.
The only question I had, and maybe the R&W people aren't doing their job, but I saw that the coverages on the insurance vary. Is there a reason for that? Why they're not all the same?
Well, we have a minimum in our policy, so if they exceed it, then
Now, who is R&W?
Well, the people we just talked about.
Oh, RWL. Does that, just so we clarify right off the bat, do these concession agreements on the insurance, does that relate to what they do? I don't think it's got anything to do with it. So they would not even be privy to these agreements. Is that correct?
Right, it's just it's a license.
Correct.
Or permit.
So do we need to hire someone to review those insurance needs?
Can you speak into the microphone, Sylvia?
What we do when, under agreements or licenses where we ask them to have insurance, we check their insurance to make sure they're licensed with the Department of Insurance for the state of Texas, and that their rating is good, like an A+ or A++ or however, but we check them.
And we have a minimum, and if they have more, that's okay?
Okay, and that was my concern, because I just saw different amounts all over the board, and I was wondering, are those looked at, and who looks at them to make sure that they're in compliance? But this company that we pay the $12,000 doesn't look at those. Do we have someone that looks at those? Should we hire someone to look at those?
There's, unless I'm not, unless I don't know what it is that they do, I think they're just vendors out there selling stuff on the beach. They're independent, you know, we have a contract with them to give them permission to go do that. Whatever liability insurance we need, we have, okay? But it would not be covering, them because they're independent contractors. And so in our licensing agreements or concession agreements, just to assure that we don't turn somebody loose on our beach that doesn't have any insurance, if they mess up, then they're required to post a minimum amount of insurance, whatever it is.
Right, and I guess my question was, do we have anyone policing that they're posting that insurance and that it's valid?
As I understand it, Javier and Dilbia work together to make sure that happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need to hire someone for y'all to take care of that, or are y'all going to do that on your own?
We usually work with Dilbia and just check the ratings on it, and we make sure that it's current.
Make sure they're licensed to do business in Texas and that they are, registered in the state of Texas.
Okay.
Also, I mean, like, for example, Commissioner, just the M that we just tabled, that person did not have any insurance, and so that's why we're tabling it until he gets insurance and bring it back.
Okay, anything else? Okay, that's already been approved, so there's no action. Any other item? On item R? Yeah, consideration authorization to approve the renewal of workers' comp insurance?
We're gonna have.
Oh, that's part of the, I'm sorry, forget it, that's part of the presentation. Anything else on the consent that's already been approved?
Let me see here. I had a question, the change order on double J, what was that about? I didn't see any order, other than extending it 90 days. Is that all it was? Just giving them more
The
time?
Green Valley Farms issue?
Frank had that one. Just a 90-day thing.
What was the change order? Because it's extending the contract 90 more days to do it. Was it that they couldn't get it done, or was something changed?
It's an extension of time to complete the project, but it doesn't affect the budget at all.
Okay, but there was no changes we made, they just needed more time?
Right.
Okay. And there was no liquidated damages clause in any of these? Okay, the only reason I ask is there's a bridge on Bass Boulevard that they're building that everyone daily asks me, when's that gonna open, when's that gonna open?
This is one of the disaster recovery projects, and we're working with Drainage District Number 3 to implement the project. I think initially, they were a little ambitious in the time frame that the district thought.
They could get it done, okay.
Well, I think there were some timelines that had to be included in the.
Right, and Bass Boulevard, Bass Boulevard's a textile project, so on that one, there are liquidated damages
This
if the
one
contractor
has-
is late.
This one is not.
Right, this
This
one-
is a
okay.
Norca project.
And I wasn't sure.
Okay,
That's what I was
anything else?
asking. Let's see here. On the double N, I was looking at that and I couldn't make heads or tails of it, but if y'all already approved it, I'll just sit with purchasing and they can explain it to me.
Okay, good idea. Anything else?
Double Q,
Bank account?
the bank account, why is that money not deposited with the treasurer?
Tony?
It is the budget.
Or David? I think both.
It is
I want y'all to tag team it. How difficult can it be?
I think Tony needs to explain, because it's that's the way the tax laws are written, on how the money is deposited. I opened the account, but it's their account, basically.
Okay, and the only reason I wondered is I didn't see your name on any signature card.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, are those funds that you should be reporting on?
No.
Or do you not even report on those?
No, it's their account, but I open the account and then turn it over to them, basically.
Okay.
Every account has to be done through you, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's just the.
All right, anything
But
else?
the laws, it's the money that they work with.
Okay, and that was my only question, because I was wondering if you're not on there, is that something that you need to be reporting on your report?
It's an annual checking account that has to be opened up every year, Commissioner, and the checking account is signed off by the auditor's office and my office.
Right. No, and I was just wondering why it wouldn't be deposited with the Treasury, but because it's, I guess, a special tax.
Well, the 7 checking accounts that I have go through his office to open up the account, and it's each account is signed off by the auditor. Every time a check is issued, it's signed by me and the auditor's office.
Right. No, and I saw all the signature cards, but I didn't see his name anywhere, and I was wondering.
No, sir, it's not required.
All right, well, thank you,
Right.
Tony, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Hearing none and sensing none, I guess that takes care of the consent items.
Oh,
Budget,
hold on
you have
a
more?
second. Hold on, I've got a long list here. I mean, it seems that our whole agenda's all consent, and
Well, I think, let me, and just in the, I think if any commissioner has a specific question that is not on the open, I think a phone call can take care of a lot of that, and we don't have to spend a whole lot of time going over pretty much as boilerplate.
Wow.
At least for us, anyway.
I think the public's entitled to know what we're doing
Well,
up
then
here.
we don't have any consent. Do every item one by one, we'd be here all day. But the reason the consent was set up was because it's routine matters, and we can call any elected official or department head that has an agenda item on and get, these questions have all been answered, and they've been answered fairly well.
Okay, triple K says discussion and possible approval. So why would that be on a consent item?
Pete, why'd you put on consent?
Triple L says discussion of possible approval.
Well, for
Why
that
would they
reason.
be on
well,
consent
for-
item?
Well, for that reasons, because given the opportunity, if we need to pull it out, we can pull it out.
Well, can't you pull any item out?
You can pull any item out.
Right, but I mean,
But
it's-
which
it's
one are you
stated
talking about?
Triple K, discussion, possible approval. Triple L, discussion. I mean, why does it say discussion if it's going to be a consent item?
I have no idea why they go on like that.
Manuel Villarreal submitted that one.
Normally, the wording is consideration and approval, and we still get requests that say discussion and possible action, but, we look at the backup, and if we feel that there are routine items that have come before the court, previously, then we just put them in consent. But any item that's in consent can be pulled out if any member of the court.
Right, and we've
wishes-
done that.
Yeah.
Okay. And all the travel that's getting approved, all the travel under consent is all coming out of non-general fund money, correct?
No,
We were just doing that at the end of the year last year?
yes,
Okay.
we were out of money. Anything else?
No, you can
All right.
continue.
Budget amendments, line item transfers, and/or salary schedules.
Judge Commissioners, you were handed the budget amendments and the line item transfers. The first budget amendment is for the TB federal health grant, and that is all in compliance with funding. The next pages are all line item transfers. First one is environmental health, then you have the Health Department and General Fund, Public Works, and the rest is HIDA, Parks Capital Improvements, and some of the health grants for your approval.
You recommend their
They're all
approval?
routine?
I'm sorry? They're all routine, yes.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
You also, excuse me, you
There's
also
more?
have salary schedules for approval. The first salary schedule that you have is for the TB federal grant, and then you have a salary schedule for Fund 600, which is the DA's pretrial diversion, and you also have the salary schedule for the DA drug forfeiture, which is Fund 900, and for your approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Carries. Claims.
You have warrants number 270693 through 271195. Claims warrants number 271390 through 271428. You have TAC medical claims and care mark for $328,956.81. Payroll dated December 22nd for $1,658,654.89. You also have, I placed a manual payroll check in front of y'all for check register for $210.52, also dated December the 22nd. I have two warrants that are voided. One of them is warrant number 270957 and warrant number 271194 for your approval.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve
I
claims?
have a couple questions.
Okay, let me hear a motion in a second.
So moved.
By Commissioner
Second.
Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. Discussion.
What were the voided claims and what were they for?
One of them is being voided because there was payment processed for particular purchase that was under the equipment list, and those we do not pay. We send the invoice to the finance company and they pay direct.
Okay.
The other one was a double payment to an attorney, which has also been voided.
Okay. And speaking of that, I saw a couple of payments to attorneys. It said deferred revenue. What is that?
That is when there is a forfeiture, seizure, and when they bring in the money and deposit it, it's put in deferred revenue because it has not been awarded by the court to any party. So that is where the revenue, that is where the money is. And when the case gets disposed, we take the money out of there and distribute it per the agreed judgment.
Oh, okay.
So
Any-
I'm sorry. By approving these claims, that means that all our vendors and everybody who needs their check will be released today?
If the court approves it today, then
Contracts,
I imagine the treasurer will release.
Or tomorrow?
On 270733, it has drug forfeiture and then says due to state seatbelt violation.
733.
It's on the third page, I believe. Why would drug forfeiture money be going to state seatbelt?
That is actually a classification where it's put in, those are payments, deposits that were received in the Fund 120, which is the one of the task force grants. And those funds were equitable sharing funds that belong to the, if I'm correct, that belongs to the Sheriff's Department as their equitable sharing share out of a federal seizure. So it was, when the funds were deposited in Fund 120, the funds were coded as in that specific line item because they were unidentified at the time. And we have since identified the funds, and we are transferring the funds to the drug forfeiture fund for the Sheriff's Division.
But why does it say due to state seatbelt violation?
Again, because that is the line item where they were coded when the funds came into Fund 120.
Oh, they were erroneously put in there.
They were
and-
coded in there because they were unidentified, and we did not know where to credit it, so they were put in there temporarily.
Okay, but
They
then
were credited in there.
then
And
they,
we're moving the funds out
Okay.
to Fund 900.
okay. Let me see if I had any other questions.
Anything else? We have a motion and a second to
I had
approve
one other-
claims. One more?
One other thing. On Herrera and Hunt, main gate replacement for 17,000, what was that?
What number is that, please?
I'm sorry, it's 270768.
768. Main gate replacement. That is repairs that were approved in the Sheriff's Division. That is for the jail fund. Account number 5120 is the jail. And
Oh, fixing the gate over at the jail?
I'm not sure,
The
maybe.
perimeter gate? Oh, okay. Yeah, because I saw 17,000, I'm like, it's a lot for a gate, but, okay. And the last question I had was, very last page, 270829, Willacy County Auditors, salary phone. for
That-
5,000.
That is a HIDA grant that comes in from the federal government through ONDCP, and it is, again, federal money that is being funded.
To
And
Willacy.
Willacy County has an investigator, and that particular initiative is being funded through Cameron County. So Willacy County bills us, and we distribute the money to Willacy County.
Okay, so we're just the holder of that money, but it's not
Correct.
coming from general fund?
We're accountable for it, yes.
We're the fiscal agent
Okay,
for the HIDA funds, right?
Correct.
that's all my questions.
You sure? Thank you, sir.
For now.
For now. All right, do I hear, we already had a motion, a second. Please note my abstention on the affidavits I provided. All in favor, signify by saying aye. And
Aye.
opposed, carries. Minutes.
Move to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa for November 23rd, 2011 special meeting. Do I have a second? By Commissioner Hernandez. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, carries. Item D, consideration and possible action regarding the 2011-2012 Parks Financing Plan.
Judge, Commissioners, in your packet, I have a list of items that we would like to purchase. And if I may, I would like to add 3 more items. One of them is a video camera system for Cameron Park and one for Brownie Road. And then the other one is a parking lot striper.
Who's going to be monitoring the camera system? Anybody, or is it going to be just taping it? Or
Well, it'll be recording.
Okay, but no one's going to sit there and actually watch a monitor?
No, no.
Okay. And the reason for that is?
Well, what happened is this past weekend, there was a break-in there at the center. They stole the...
Which center?
At Cameron Park.
Okay.
They took the lavatories. They're
took
stainless, the lavatories, they're stainless steel, so I guess they took them to sell as,
So they took the bathroom sinks?
yeah, took the bathroom sinks. So we
Maybe
found...
we just shouldn't replace them so that the community will self-police.
The other thing is the graffiti has slowed down tremendously, but we did have a problem with graffiti. We put up some new light fixtures in there, so we want to put a camera system just to have some type of surveillance there and at Brownie Road.
Will you have signs up somewhere showing under surveillance or cameras or something?
We do. They're just...
They get graffitied?
Well, I mean, we have the sign up, but we just don't. I mean, we used to have some cameras. I think they're outdated. They never worked. So
How much are you looking at?
5,000
For both?
for both.
Okay.
Have you ever thought of maybe an alarm system instead of a video camera?
Well, we have an alarm.
So it didn't work?
We have an alarm in the centers, but we don't have, not for outside. Because the restrooms are outside.
So they're open all the time?
Right.
Okay, anything else?
The other thing was just a parking lot striper, which was $3,500.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatz. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed, carries. Item E, exterior building signage for the Santa Rosa Tech Center.
Move to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa. Let me look at it again. What changes did you make? Okay. Okay, good. So I wanted,
Some language that was added
so that's,
to reflect the former commissioners
right.
and some redesign.
Okay, the only note that I added was to add, and maybe we can do this as a policy to add, before the Cameron County Commissioners Court, add the Cameron County taxpayers. I think that's a good note, because they're ultimately who's paying for it. And you added that on there. Okay, I had a motion, a second. Any further discussion? You got the typo, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then on the commissioners up at the top should be S apostrophe? S apostrophe.
This, like that?
That, okay, so you got the newer one. You gave me the
newer
old one.
version has
All right. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
The
signify-
only discussion, I think that for
Commissioner?
public sake is that we added, there were 2 other commissioners in this court that were very involved in the process of doing that project.
Right.
Which was John Wood and Ed Tamayo. So we added on the plaque former commissioners and their names, because I know that, and I appreciate the court taking that into consideration.
Yes, sir. All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, carries. Let's go now back to the
Presentations.
presentations. Item A, presentation regarding the Texas healthcare transformation. Is that good?
David. Tomorrow's Thursday. I have nothing. Be good.
You ready?
Well, good morning. I am, to the extent of this presentation, I'm ready, so maybe the countdown. But okay. Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Texas is changing the Medicaid program, and this change is having an impact on our indigent healthcare program. Currently, there's minimal written information and guidance, so this presentation is really just meant to let the court know that there are some changes coming up.
And
It's
they're
not.
soon.
Pardon me?
And they're soon.
And very quickly, yes. We are on the top of the mountain going down. Okay, just to give the court some background, in 1985, there was a law passed by the Texas legislature that was meant to assist individuals who didn't qualify for any state or federal programs, meant to assist them with health care, and we know this as the Cameron County Indigent Healthcare Program. In 2007, Cameron County made some changes, and we partnered with Valley Baptist Medical Center and the Rio Grande Valley Indigent Healthcare Corporation, and this partnership allowed additional funds, which were this partnership allowed additional federal funds for the hospitals to draw down those funds, and these funds are known as the upper payment limit. So basically, in a nutshell, Cameron County was working not only, the indigent program was working not only with Cameron County funds, but also with hospital funds that were drawn down and known as UPL funds. I'm a little thrown off because I guess the computer changed my presentation. The indentions. Oh, so anyway, so currently, recently, the 82nd legislature mandated that Texas Health and Human Services Commission expand to capitated managed care statewide. So Medicaid is currently transitioning from a fee-for-service to managed care. To give an example of what a fee-for-service is if you have 100 individuals and each of those individuals goes to the doctor twice, then a fee-for-service will pay the doctor for 200 visits. The 100 individuals times 2 for 200 visits. A managed care system takes those 100 individuals and it tells the physician, we're going to pay you X amount of dollars. We don't care if they go 0 times, 1 times, 100 times, you're still going to get X amount of dollars. So Texas is now transitioning to a managed care system, and that does affect Cameron County because we were in a fee-for-service type of system, but now we're transitioning to managed care. So why are we changing? Current federal regulations do not allow for an upper payment limit in a capitated managed care delivery system. So when Texas changed to managed care, they were having difficulty accessing the UPL pool of money that we did have for indigent care. So in response to that, Texas submitted an 1115 waiver to the feds as a way to transform and protect those UPL funds. This is a 5-year project, and it is retroactive to September 1. On December 12th, Texas did receive approval from CMS for the Medicaid waiver. The 1115 waiver is meant to preserve the hospital funds And it's also meant to provide incentive payments for healthcare improvements. The example that was given to us, what a healthcare improvement is, was the incentive payment would be given to if there was a walking trail that was created. So it's not just meant to provide for services. We also have to work towards improving the healthcare of the community. So now Texas has the potential to access federal funds up to about $29 billion statewide, which is probably double what they were accustomed to in years past. There is a catch to this whole thing, and the catch is that Cameron County has to participate in a regional healthcare partnership, and we have to develop regional plans. A regional healthcare partnership is really, the participation is up to the Cameron County Commissioners Court. The court is the one that decides if they want their Cameron County funds to be used in a regional partnership. The state is suggesting that possibly the regional partnership that Cameron County might be included with 9 other counties, includes Cameron, Duval, Hidalgo, Jim Hogg, Maverick, McMullen, Starr, Webb, Willacy, and Zapata County, and those are the brown, burnt orange on the southern part of the tip of Texas. Those, but that's just a suggestion. It's gonna be up to every single county if they wanna participate or not. Also, a regional healthcare plan must be created, and hospitals are responsible for creating that plan. However, they must have input from the public, such as the medical association, the local government, any hospitals, any health science centers, and other key stakeholders. So what are our options? One, we can go back to what we used to be, which is probably not very cost effective, not for Cameron County, and it is probably not good for the overall health care of the community. But we can go back to option A, which is to create our own indigent program, and that means that the county would have to contribute 8% of the general revenue tax funds, and then to administer the program would, and in addition to the 8%, the county would have to come up with another $400,000, and if we wanted to be eligible for matching funds, the county would have to put out $25,000. Again, that's probably not the best option for Cameron County. Option B is the regional healthcare partnership that I just talked about, where Cameron County allocates the funds and federal funds are drawn down, and that makes the funding more available to access more funding for providers and to make some changes within the community that could have long-term healthcare benefits. Option C is probably not an option, but it is an option, so we went ahead and included it, and that's where Cameron County could create their own entity and draw down their federal funds. However, we would have to work with CMS, we would have to work with the feds to get approval. Again, this is an option that's probably not going to happen. The feds probably would not approve Cameron County and isolate them and work directly with them. So we do have some timeframes that are very short that we have to work with. The transformation, we are in year 1 of 5. It did start September 1, 2011. State officials came down and met with the county judge in October 21. The Health and Human Services did come down and meet with some of the counties on December the 7th and provided some information. Texas received the waiver approval from CMS on December the 12th. The county really has to decide if they're going to participate probably in the month of February. The last day to submit the agreement by Cameron County to the state, if we want to participate in a regional health partnership, is March 31, and then the hospitals, and I'm not even sure who submits it, but it could be the hospitals submit the regional health plan by August 31. So this is going to be our department's focus to work on this project. It's something that's happening. It's happening very, very quickly. But what's next? We're going to continue to work with option B and possibly participate in the regional health partnership.
Yvette, let me ask you, from our last meeting, were you able to start setting up the meetings with the other county judges?
Right. There's a couple of things right now that are going on. One is, we believe the next meeting might be January 4th, but we're working on that meeting. And probably the second week of January, the Health and Human Service Commission is trying to set up a meeting with the 10 county judges to see if they can get them in the same room and answer any questions that they might have. Right now, the Health and Human Service Commission is meeting with the 10 county judges. I don't know how far along they are on meeting with each and every one of those 10. I know that they were in, I think, Laredo. I know they were there 2 days ago. So, but yes, the Health and Human Service Commission is trying to have one centralized meeting for the 10 county judges to.
Okay, so that's got nothing to do with the meeting that you were trying to set up with Judge Valdez from Webb and Judge Garcia from Hidalgo, right?
That is the meeting
Okay,
for the
that's
10
okay.
county judges.
So y'all gonna be
yes.
working together with that?
Yes.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
all right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, any questions? No. Okay, do I hear a motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
By Commissioner Hernandez, second by Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, carries. Item B, presentation update concerning current workers' comp program for TAC.
This presentation is related to the consent item for the approval. But you need to have this information to come with a realistic approval, okay?
All right.
And Mr. Ken Wethy, our consultant, is here to do that presentation.
Hey, Ken.
Good morning.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Thank you. For the record, my name is Ken Wethy. I'm the independent insurance consultant in the area of employee benefits. And in your packet, Commissioner's packet, I believe you should have a letter with some backup material regarding the status of our workers' comp program that is part of the Texas Association of Counties Self-Insured Workers' Compensation Program. We're a participant in that. There's an interlocal agreement that we have with TAC that says that if we want to terminate the contract, we need to, by either party, we need to give them 60 days notice. Otherwise, the contract will renew under the interlocal agreement if we do not give the notice of intent to terminate 30 days prior to the renewal. So what we have is 7 years of history with the Texas Association of Workers' Compensation Program. My cover letter talks about the total contributions that we have made to their self-funded program. That number is $8,869,527. The total amount of incurred claims would be the claims that come in and then a reserve that the TAC would set on those claims to pay the potential liability. And with workers' comp, the liability is for the lifetime of the claim. The incurred amount is $4,336,931. There's paid claims of $3,717,875 over this 7-year period, and they're holding a reserve of $619,056. So when we look at a mature year, 6 years, the loss ratio has been 53.4%. That's a very good loss ratio. The lowest year was 35.6%, and the highest year was 61.2 in the year 2010. The experience modifier that I've talked to you in the past about is based on 3 years of prior claim experience. And it looks at the frequency of claims, and they have assigned an experience modifier for the renewal coming up of 2.13. This is the highest that we've had. The lowest has been a 1.43, and the median is 1.675. The experience modifier would be if you're a 1.0, then you're doing about average of what they would expect. If you're above that, then it's higher than what would be expected. When we look at the large claims that have come through, in the year 2005, claims over 100,000, we had one claim, and that's now closed, and that amount that was paid was $121,102. For the year 2007, we had 3 claims, and they're still open and they're paying on those claims, and the amount of those 2 claims is $792,234. And then for the year 2008, we have 1 claim, and it's closed for $110,414. So when we look at shock claims over 100,000, it hasn't been bad. So then when we look at what are they doing to manage the claims, when we compare the last time we evaluated April 19th to June 30th, we saw the number of open claims decrease by 12, and the total incurred amount decreased by $146,349. So what we have here is a picture of our program, how it's worked, and I think we're in good shape to go out for RFPs after we renew. And there was a handout that was just given to you that I'd like to go through. This handout looks at how they developed the renewal factors for the year 2012 compared to how they've done it in the past years. And are some significant changes in how they're developing the factors used for your rate that you would be paying. In the case of the gross manual premium, that's taking the amounts that were paid by the losses that were incurred by different classifications. That's on page 2. And that number has gone down. In the past, for the year 2011, it was set at $1,152,658. For the renewal, it's $653,718. The experience modifier I mentioned was 2.13, but the methodology that they have used in the past, I use the same type of methodology, and that would be a 1.13, making that a number 738,701 compared to $1,547,000 that we had last year when the rate was developed. The member discount has dropped from 30% to 14%, which would be a discount of $194,931 compared to $663,198 when they set the rate last year. There is no renewal credit, and let me talk about what that renewal credit was all about. That renewal credit is based on the experience of the pool as a whole. And in the past, if we terminated the contract after we renewed, then the amount that was unearned for that credit would have to be refunded. So if we were to have terminated after 3 months, we would have to refund to them 25% what that number was, which would be $120,000, or after 6 months, we'd have to refund them 50% of what that number was, and that'd be $240,000. Going forward for the year that we're going into, that renewal credit no longer applies because they have changed the formula and how they do the ratings. So if we renew with them, give them 60 days notice, there is no penalty. It's a straight pro rata premium. So we've set the stage, I think, to do the RFP process after January 1, and maybe take 90 to 120 days to do that renewal RFP process. So, big picture, I think we've got better conditions going forward than what we had in the past, and I think we've got good experience going for us as we would issue the RFPs for the coming year. So the recommendation is to renew with TAC because under the Evergreen contract, it is renewed, and then we would give them 60 days notice of intent to terminate. That's kind of a big picture summary of how our workers' comp program is working and what we have for the renewal that was in that consent item.
Thank you, Ken. Questions?
How much do we pay you to tell us this?
My retainer fee is...
On an annual basis?
Annual basis, $24,000. That includes the health insurance monitoring as well as the voluntary insurance programs.
Okay.
When do you plan to go out for the RFP?
We would come back to the Commissioners Court in January and issue it during the month of January, have it out for 30 days, and then evaluate. And so that'd be another 30 days, 30 to maybe 60 days for the evaluation approval by the Commissioners Court.
Is this standard procedure to renew and then go out for RFPs? Is this pretty much how it's always done? We're renewing this contract for a year, yet we're going to go out for...
1 year or less, yes.
Okay.
And the reason we're doing that is so that, well, number one, we've got the Evergreen contract, so we're locked in.
Sure.
And then the second thing is we give them the 60 days notice, and we don't have the penalty that we've had in the past.
Thank you very much.
You might want to explain just real briefly to what happened, you know, where, and maybe you were here, you've been here all along, where we were in terms of our insurance program some years back when we were 1.8 million in the red.
Thank you, Judge.
And I want you, I mean, because that's important, because I know that, you know, dollars are important and 24,000, 12.5, et cetera, but I think we need to look at the big picture when we look at this, and it's good that I'm glad commissioners are asking questions, but I think it's important to know where we were back in prior to 07, 08, and then tell us where we are today, because I think you and Mr. Villarreal and staff have really played a big part in turning that thing around.
Right. My first project in working for the county was to do a request for proposal for health insurance. We previously had been with Mutual of Omaha, and it was self-funded, and we put together the proposal self-funded, and we changed from Mutual of Omaha to Blue Cross Blue Shield through Texas Association of Counties. And because of very favorable contracts that Blue Cross Blue Shield had, we were able to develop a good fund balance after the first year. We overcame that deficit, and then we've been adding to that fund balance because of the good contracts and the managed care aspect associated with how that program is being run. So I think our fund balance is in excess of $1 million today.
Yeah, today, and it was, what was it?
It was a $1.8 million deficit.
In the red, yeah.
And I periodically bring you reports, and I'll be bringing you back another report for the year ended September 30th, and then where we're at as of January 1.
Have you talked to the county employees about the type of coverage and the difference in the coverage, cost to them?
I do not do that. My job is a consultant, and I do not personally get down to the employee level of meeting with them.
Well, how can you consult on you should use this company versus this company if you don't know what actual type of service or benefits the employees are getting or the difference?
Well, I rely on staff feedback. I look at the contracts that we have, and I make my evaluation that way.
On a monthly basis, about how much time would you say you spend on Cameron County?
It varies, but during peak time, probably 50, 60 hours in a month.
In a month. And off-peak time?
maybe 4 or 5.
Okay.
Any other questions? Do I hear a
Well,
motion?
I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
Do you think having an HR director helps that workers' comp modifier?
It's a safety program, and the reporting structure is you've got to have safety reporting to the HR, so you've got to have staff to work the safety program. One of the things when we go out for proposals, we want to look at a fully funded, fully insured program like we have now, but what are the loss control services to be provided by the insurance company to come in and hold periodic meetings?
Well, and I guess because last year we didn't have an HR director.
Correct.
Did you note a difference in our claims, in our on how we performed as a county in terms of loss?
You know,
was that
your
at all?
losses have been good, and so I think you had the infrastructure there, that you had safety meetings that were being conducted, and I think you were working a return to work program. I think, Mr. Villial, when you came back, you did some additional work on the return to work.
Well, we brought it all back into focus. We had, Public Works is our highest cost department for workers' comp, and they were not having any safety meetings. Now we've assigned a new safety officer that is going to dedicate all his time to safety for Public Works. It was done on a hit and miss type of thing, and it doesn't work that way. You have to do it all the time. The Sheriff Department was very good about coming around and doing a return to work program, and they're doing a great job in the jail. So that has helped quite a bit. The return to work program is the secret to a good safety program. The doctors are advised, everybody's advised that we do have a return to work. We do have to require productive work from these employees that are coming back. And that saves us a lot of money because they're not paying wages. We're getting work for those wages being paid. Otherwise, they're paying wages, but it's coming out of our pocket too. So we have to keep these things going. And it does require oversight, quite a bit of oversight. Either you assign a person that is going to be totally responsible for workers' comp, or you assign it to one administrator to watch it as part of their job.
So before you retired, Mr. Villarreal, you had a firm grip on it, and you would do these safety meetings and the follow-up.
And we did for this reason, is that a lot of the departments were very stubborn about return to work. Oh, we don't have return. This is a part of this program that we're going to have injuries, we're going to have people, and it's hard to hit somebody in the head and tell them, do this, you know,
Right.
but they are coming around, they are doing this, and you can see it. This year's, our costs are bare bone. They're doing real good. And next year will be another one. So the next evaluation, which is for next year's contract, whoever we're with, will realize a savings on cost, a good amount of savings.
And I guess where I'm going with this is, when we didn't have an HR director, I think we lacked a lot, and it cost us in our workers' comp. Would that be a fair statement, Mr. Wethy?
It's pretty accurate, yes.
So by not having the HR director, it costs the county money.
It's a lot of different things. You know, your health plan, which was brought up by the judge, we've cut down quite a bit of money on the health plan. We realized we asked for bids with and without an agent. So just not having an agent saved us $250,000 a year. Just that one item. And then health fairs, telling the important. We had meetings with the employee. You asked about meetings about the health plan. We have a lot of meetings with the health plan. And then we have the health fairs. And we have orientations every Friday for all new employees. And we tell them about our health plan, about retirements, about everything. But it's very important that they understand that what is the benefit of going to a health clinic versus going to emergency room. The emergency room is just gonna cost more to the county, because we pay for it. A health clinic, $25 copay. The hospital is gonna charge us $75 just to go visit, and besides whatever exams they do. It's very important that we have a good plan and that we are sponsoring. The employees love it because they have a yearly physical, they have mammograms, they have colonoscopies. All these things are covered. Our health plan has not increased the deductible for the last 4 years. We were able to contribute to the shortfall in the budget. So those are things that have to be managed by an HR department. Now, whether you have a personnel director, HR department, or administrator, somebody has to oversee it some way. It does.
Okay, and I guess that's my point. I mean, when we had the lack of an HR director, a lot of this stuff wasn't being done, and it cost us quite a bit, and it will cost us over 3 years, correct?
The tone at the top is the term I'd like to use, and you did have an infrastructure in place. And so my report on the workers' comp program is it has been running well because of some things that were put in place. But you've got to have the person at the top overseeing and making sure that things are getting done.
And the reason I ask is, I mean, Mr. Villarreal helps us right now on a contractual basis, but I'm sure he's not going to do that forever. I mean, he probably wants to enjoy his retirement, but as a consultant on insurance, would you recommend that we have a full HR director that's on top of this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
With the safety reporting to him, and we want to get the most we can out of the insurance company who would be the one insuring your program under workers' comp, and what will they provide for backup safety loss control services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Do I hear a motion to acknowledge?
So move.
By Commissioner Sanchez, do I have a second? By Commissioner Benavides, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. What is the consent? Item R? Okay, consider to approve the renewal. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item C, presentation of annual report for the City of San Benito tax increment. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Lance Elliott. I'm with TIF Services of South Texas. With me this morning is Alma Kalali, who's the EDC Director for the City of San Benito, and Susan Crabtree, who's the Finance Director from the City of San Benito. We have given you, the zone was created in 2009, and Commissioner Garza sits as a member of the zone. And actually, because we've had turnover in the zone, Commissioner Garza is actually our linchpin to our zone and the person that we rely on for guidance. In your packets today, you have a report. The zone was created in 2009. The base value of the zone is $15,575,165. The incremental increase in value in the zone in 2010 was $780,473. And when we created the zone in San Benito, we carefully crafted the zone. Almost all the property north of Business 77 is not in the zone, and almost all the property south of Highway 83 is not in the zone. So we have a fairly compact zone between 77 and Highway 83. And we've had fairly good success on development within the zone. The 2011 increment, incremental increase will be, which will not be due, for a while yet, will be the incremental increase of $6,291,517. We have submitted the required report to the county judge. It's required by Chapter 311 of the Texas Tax Code, and we have submitted to the state comptroller the required reporting under Chapter 311 of the 2000 Tax Code. And I would take any questions at this time.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
What happened out there to get such a large increase?
apartments, single family, the new HEB was crafted outside of the zone so that it would not be a part of the zone. We knew that was occurring. But just a general increase in property values in the city, plus 80 apartment units and 2 strip centers.
Okay, it was significantly more. Now, the increase doesn't include the 2010. That's additional, or does that include the 2010?
No, that includes the 2010.
Oh, okay. All right.
Anything else, Commissioners? Do I hear a motion? Okay, I've already had a motion. Moved by Commissioner Hernandez. Second by Commissioner Benavides to acknowledge. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
By Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Hernandez. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. We're going to go off the air in a little bit, but I want to, by the time people see this, it'll be after Christmas. I want to, on behalf of the Commissioners Court and myself, wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And by the time you will see this meeting, you'll be in tune for a new year. So I want to wish all the commissioners and staff and employees and people out there a very happy and prosperous new year.
Well, if I may, Judge, since I missed public comment, I'd like to do the same, and I'd also like to say that this has been my first year on the commission, and I've learned a lot. There's a lot more to county government that I ever knew existed, and a lot more going on that I'm glad that I'm participating in everything I've learned, and look forward to continue to work for the citizens of Cameron County, and blessings to everyone in the new year.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Merry Christmas to everyone, and Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Judge.
I also want to express a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone.
And Commissioner Garza wanted me to express the same. He had a meeting that he had to go to.
Hold on, guys. Let me withdraw the motion for going executive and withdraw the second, because we got some claims that Martha needs to approve.
I have additional claims that were placed in front of the court that had not been read in. There are claims number 271666 through 271667, claims number 271429 through 271531, and claims number 271536 through 271665 for your approval also.
Any questions, Commissioners?
So moved.
Do I hear a motion by Commissioner Hernandez? Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides to approve the additional claims. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Okay, now executive session. Do I hear a motion by Commissioner Sanchez, second by Commissioner Hernandez to go into executive session. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. To discuss the following 3 items. Item A, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel regarding retention of outside counsel pursuant to Code Section 551.0712. Item B, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel regarding adoption of an order meeting the requirements of Local Government Code Section 232.0015A pursuant to Code Section 551.0712. Last item, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel regarding possible litigation for the collection of unpaid fees pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A.